Hello everyone and welcome to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue, just going to adjust slightly higher up. We are talking contracts today with the recent barrage of news about contract renewals, contract reversals in many situations, particularly across the WWE and AEW. Plenty of people have been popping up. They appear to have very short amounts of time left on their contracts, meaning that we could see quite a lot of movement over the next year or two. I'm particularly looking at certain names in AEW such as Samoa Joe, Miro, Andrade, and certain names in WWE as well that may not be particularly happy about the lot that they've been given at this point in time. We will be talking that. We will also be talking about the report that a lot of people are not happy with their WrestleMania place or lack thereof. This is via WrestleNews.co. I have a lot to say on that one. You guys will not be surprised by most of what I have to say on that one, but there's a lot of it. And after that, there is plenty more to discuss as regards incoming. In fact, if I pop over to... oh god, where is it? That one. If I pop over to my actual news page, I have plenty of reports to discuss that happened over the last few days. Vince McMahon's place in creative, Logan Paul, and I dive into Worked Wrestling, a let's say promotion's the right word, an outlet that has popped up over the last week or so and is being quoted heavily by other wrestling journalists that I want to discuss what they've reported so far. So, be sure to hit like as you join the chat. Be sure to say hi as well. I'll be answering as many of your questions as I can and getting to the news in due course. Spider-Boss says, do you think that Damage Control retains the women's tag team titles tonight? Yes. Also says, per Fightful, Vicky Guerrero will be leaving AEW in June. Not a surprise, I thought she'd already gone. Bailey says, hello Tom. 5 weeks to WrestleMania and still no Hall of Fame selections. Nope, still absolutely nothing so far. Absolutely nothing. And it's certainly causing some issues. Spider-Boss is talking about Bailey's interview with Ariel Helwani, where she expressed an opinion. And then we get onto the YouTube side. Tommy B is asking anything on Jay White. Not at this point, no. Nothing more than what I've already reported. Simon is asking, is Liv going to be on the Mania card? I'll get to that in due course. Ken says, does WWE look at Bliss as a future Hall of Famer? The issue, as much as anything, is that I don't think Alexa Bliss looks at herself as a future Hall of Famer. I think she looks at herself, this is my personal opinion, in much the same way that Sami Zayn does. Justin believes that Alexa is a first ballot Hall of Famer when it comes to the women. Traffic says, good afternoon Tom and chat, as always. Thanks for the news. Thank you, Traffic. Thank you everybody for joining us so far. King of Cobra says, hello Tom. Hello everyone. Richard Smith says, hello Tom and all. So many big hellos. Welcome everyone. Always good to be made to feel so welcome. Yeah, like I know it's my channel and stuff, but I really appreciate so many regular people arriving here. It's lovely. Callie says, hello Tom, hope you're well, doing very well, thank you Callie, welcome to the show. Joey says, hi Tom, is there any truth to the report of WWE talent being unhappy about celebrities and legends taking spots away at Mania? I will be diving into that one very shortly. I'm definitely going to be getting to the news a lot faster this time, I can promise you that. Michael says, hi Tom, hello Michael. Spider-Boss says, just a question, can Vince McMahon change the winner of Roman versus Cody? Yes, he is the chairman of the board, he can do whatever he wants, including firing Triple H. Hector says, Tom, did you see the internet sleuths apparently think that Eric Young was a voiceover during the Bray Firefly Funhouse skit closer to the end of the promo? He may well have been. I haven't had any names on it as of yet. Razar says, hi Tom, excited for the news. You always keep me updated. Thank you very much for being excited for it, Razar. Simon says, your thoughts on Dave Meltzer news report from Friday that Sasha Banks has only 2 days left remaining in Japan now. I don't really have anything to discuss on that one. She's looking for a world tour, but she has a championship, so she's going to be wrestling in Japan again soon. Joey says, do you know what the plan is for Trish? Is she going to be wrestling at Mania, or are they still doing Ronda and Shayna versus Damage Control? They are still doing Ronda and Shayna versus Damage Control. Venom says, hi Tom. Hello, Venom. Christoph says, hi Tom. Hello, Christoph. KJ says, what's up, Tom? It's been a while. How's it going? I did watch your predictions for the match card earlier on, KJ, so I've been keeping an eye on you. What can I say? How you doing, mate? Ed says, Tom, I'm here, but don't want to say hello. Joking, hi Tom Colohue. Lovely, so lovely. Backwards says, hey Tom, hope you and all are well. Thank you, Backwards, appreciate that. Hope everyone is well as well and sharing the love. Alan says, hey Tom. Hello, Alan. Alyssa says, are you sure Cody beats Roman Reigns? Yes. You've asked it several times. The answer is going to be the same thing. Marcel says, hi, how are you? Welcome, Marcel. Doing very well, thank you. I hope you are as well. Rizal says, Wrestling News Co reported there won't be any Battle Royal at WrestleMania. More on that shortly. Venom says, I understand that if wrestlers aren't happy about the celebrity thing, they work their ass off just for the celebrities to steal the spotlight they work so hard for. Joey says, did you see Raj Giri? He confirmed your report about AEW not getting more money from Warner Media when their TV deal is up unless they get a big outside offer. Always nice to have that confirmation. Thank you for letting me know, Joey. Spider-Boss says, I don't know why, but I think Lita and Becky could win tonight. Depends on the scale of the injury to Dakota Kai. Sean says, contract news about Alexa Bliss. You've got me scared, Tom. I don't mean to scare anyone. I just need to give an update on this current situation. It's not necessarily a case of me sitting here and saying this person's gone, this person's gone, this person's gone. That's not how this is going to go. There's going to be an update way ahead of time for a lot of different people. Vegito, welcome, says Cody will win, deserving don't matter. It is down to booking rather than deserving. KJ says, hey Tom, do you have any idea what happened to Shinsuke Nakamura? Could he be hurt? Creative hiatus? I'm not sure if visa issues you're looking for. To my knowledge, it's just creative hiatus. I'm not sure what to do with him at the moment. Rest of the fan says, will Lita be competing at WrestleMania 39? Maybe. KJ says, there's no celebrities on Mania. Logan Paul, mate. Logan Paul's definitely considered a celebrity. Kevin Dunlap, how you doing? Says, good evening, Mr. Colohue. Look forward to spoiler warning every Monday and Friday. I hope everything is going well. And remember, everything is on the table. I have a meme now. Alan says, do you expect any big shocks happening in the draft? Yes. Michael says, the Ring of Honor tapings actually look really good. Interesting. Shogun says, any update about Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse segment meaning? No, it's Bray Wyatt. In about a year, he'll tell you all of these different things that segment meant. It didn't. Spider-Boss says, why does WWE bring legends instead of using their current roster? Ticket sales and drawing power. Simon says, are both Battle Royals going to air on SmackDown before Mania 39? No. And Vegeta says, Logan Paul counts as a celeb, which he absolutely does. Ed agrees on that one. KJ says, Alexa Bliss has missed a lot of time. They may add more time. They cannot add time due to a break. They only add time due to injury. Joey says next year is going to be big for TK. The Elite and MJF contracts are going to be up. Do you expect WWE to go all in to sign them? That will be amongst our first piece of news. Horsey says, good evening, Tom, and all in the chat. Welcome, Horsey. Vegeta says, hi, Tom. Hello. Callie says, hope Logan follows his brother and loses. Alyssa says, why are people complaining going Cody Rhodes to beat Roman Reigns? Because they want Cody Rhodes to win. That's the main reason. Well, certain people who don't want Cody Rhodes to win usually want Roman Reigns to win. There's nothing surprising here. This is just standard wrestling stuff. Spider-Boss says, it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul gets involved in Seth versus Logan Paul at Mania. More on that story later. Venom says, do you think Bron Breakker will be the only NXT call-up? If not, who else do you think? I think we'll definitely see a number of women being called up. Cora Jade, for example. Joey says, do you have any news on the draft and which NXT wrestlers could be getting called up? I have a bit of news, but not enough to really be worth sharing at the moment. Bear with me 1 second. Nope. A lot happened there. Nothing really to be worth sharing at the moment. There will be more on that one shortly. Not in this stream. Zoe Stark's a maybe. She was there in the Royal Rumble, so I'd expect it. Alice says, have you seen the rumours on Twitter that Roman is beating Cody? No, they're opinions. They're not rumours. Vijay says, I've hardly seen anyone complain about Cody. And Michael says, saw someone tweet how Kenny and the Bucks should go through NXT. They have no business going from NXT. Same with Jay White, and I wholeheartedly agree. Our first piece of news will be in 2 minutes. Make sure you hit like as you join the show. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Catch up. Click that red button. Dad says, big up Tom, what's in store for Cody coming towards Mania? Championships. Christoph says, Alexa has admitted in an interview recently she's been a bit out of her game. I really hope she'll be back on track soon. It's probably more mental than anything else in her case. Spider-Boss says, funny segment between Charlotte and Dominic on SmackDown last Friday. Was a lot of fun. Hector says, I feel like the report being out about Kenny Omega being open to WWE, in my opinion, that stuff is non-news because he should do whatever is necessary to get the most money. Steve Engblom, welcome. Says, hey Tom, happy Pokemon Day. Looking at last Mania, do you have any insight on Money in the Bank contenders this summer? Are you trying to go to the show? I'm making no effort to go to the show. I would rather have a watch party with all of you, to be blunt on that one. As regards Money in the Bank contenders, Big E should be fit around that time. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Finn Balor is the obvious choice, so. Simon, I know you're asking about Liv Morgan. I've already shared all the news I have on Liv Morgan. There is no further news. Anything else would be speculation on my part. And you do not want speculation. You want a firm answer. I can't give you that, so I can't answer that question. Eric says, this year and next year, free agents look amazing. Backward says, in my opinion, Bray Wyatt's new gimmick is all over the place. And I completely agree with that. Vegeta thinks Gunther wins Money in the Bank. Would not be a bad shout. I say that. FDR says, hello, Tom and all. What's up, what's up, what's up? Loving the bad boy hairstyle, Tom. It's just washed. It's still technically drying, and it's all over the place. I need a haircut. It's been a while. Joey says, do you think there'll be some context that WWE won't renew next year for some of the talent? Yeah, I absolutely do. And that is why our first piece of news is about contracts. So I want to say thank you to Air Jarrett, who on the Discord side provided me with quite a bit of research covering the following pieces of news. There is a list going round, and there's a number of different people whose contracts are coming up relatively soon. Relatively soon meaning before the end of 2024. Now I'm going to go through this list, cover basically everyone that I can, and say one, who I think will be retained, two, who I think will be moving on, and three, at this most simple, who I don't think the WWE have any real plans for. So, starting with AJ Styles. There is no real plan at the moment that involves AJ Styles appearing at this year's WrestleMania. I know that that's just come out as a news report, but that's because people aren't watching Spoiler Warning, and you guys are fully familiar with the idea that AJ Styles is very unlikely to be featured on this year's WrestleMania. There are no real creative plans around AJ Styles at this point in time. He did say upon signing this particular contract that it would be his last one. It is particularly lucrative. It also gives him a number of dates off. It is very possible that he signs a new deal closer to a Legends contract with less dates. From what I can tell, he does have more in the tank, and the WWE are interested in renewing his contract. However, his body seems to be starting to fail him. He is starting to pick up a number of injuries, so any offer that's made to him may be for a lesser amount. Next up, Alexa Bliss. Rumoured to be expiring that contract in March 2024. The WWE are said to be extremely interested in renewing this contract and willing to pay extra in order to make it happen. However, there is a lot going on as regards Alexa Bliss, the person and the character at the moment. Certainly, if I knew anything personal, I wouldn't share it, and I'm not going to go into any of that detail. But at the moment, she's taking some time, and they are waiting to bring her back for a storyline to be in place. Right now, Alexa Bliss's return is based on Bray Wyatt pushing forwards with his storylines. And, to be entirely blunt, Bray Wyatt is not pushing forward with his storylines. The WWE, in particular Triple H, does not want to bring Alexa Bliss back before WrestleMania because there is nothing for her, at least at this point in time. I've reached out over the last few days to get confirmation on this. The WWE are very interested in a renewal for Alexa Bliss. However, the people she wants to work with are the reason it's taking time and the reason her character keeps changing. She's been making some requests. They are working to accommodate that, but it is taking time, and it is a lot of it built around Bray Wyatt. To my knowledge, the WWE want to retain her. I believe they are going to succeed in this. December 2024, Angelo Dawkins' contract apparently expires. I expect this to be a done deal relatively quickly, but I would imagine the Street Profits would have split up by this point. Angelo Dawkins very likely to be retained. Big E's contract does expire in December 2024. The WWE will be adding more time on due to injury. There is interest in renewing, but there is no requirement to renew just yet. Butch's contract will expire in September 2024. Triple H is wholeheartedly interested in this one. However, what I will say about a number of people in this list, a lot of this depends on who buys the WWE. Because to be blunt, if your contract is due to expire in 2024, the renewal will be pushed back because it may be that someone else will be handling the contract negotiations. I do want to point that one out first. Triple H himself really wants to make sure that he keeps hold of Butch, however, under a new deal. Butch might be someone that a new company isn't particularly as fond of as Triple H is. Kofi Kingston's deal is set to also expire in December 2024. WWE are interested, Kofi Kingston is interested, but I expect this one to be for slightly less money and considerably less dates. The Logan Paul deal expires in April 2024. They are not sure at this point about renewing. The plan so far is essentially to not renew and to wait and see what happens over the next few weeks and months. This big WrestleMania match is obviously a very good sign, but they are waiting to see what he does. If he's able to bring in enough viewership, and Logan Paul is a proven draw for the WWE, they will likely renew his contract. Montez Ford's contract is up in December 2024 as well. This is the biggest lock on the list. They want Montez Ford for the next 10 years. Randy Orton's deal would expire in December 2024. He's already on a limited date contract. They want to keep him. However, this will be another one where, due to injury, the contract will be extended, so there'll be no need to renew. Seth Rollins' deal expires April 2024, and the WWE not only want him to stay, but they will be offering him world championships in order to convince him to do so. Sami Zayn's deal expires in December 2024. It's a relatively new and fresh one. Sami Zayn and the WWE are said to be thrilled with the reactions to Sami. I would imagine he can negotiate a very lucrative contract. However, this is one where you have to keep an eye on who buys the company. Because if the Saudi Arabian conglomerate buys the company, Sami Zayn may be in trouble. Ricochet's deal is due to expire in April 2024. The WWE are very happy with the work of Ricochet. I doubt he would get much of a raise, but he would likely get a contract renewal. Pat McAfee's deal expires in June 2024. This is one where the WWE aren't necessarily happy with the outcome that they've had. However, this is a contract that is likely to be extended on the basis that Pat McAfee has not met his required wrestling dates, so they will likely just extend it for a while longer. Dana Brooks' contract expires in December 2024. Unfortunately, on this one, I will say that there isn't much interest in renewing at this point in time. Wade Barrett's deal expires in August 2024. Once again, at this point in time, while there is interest, I don't necessarily believe there is enough interest to make it worth Wade Barrett's time. Finally, Xavier Woods' contract expires, or set to expire, December 2024. Xavier Woods is someone that the WWE can and will go hell for leather for and will refuse to let leave. There's a couple more people who are currently wrestling under the AEW banner that I want to discuss. First and foremost, I want to mention Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's deal is said to be up in 2023. This is information that has been tracked via Fightful and more, via Air Jarrett. Once again, thank you on the Discord side for sharing this information. Samoa Joe is someone that Triple H is massively interested in bringing back. He's already done it once for NXT, and he's likely to do it again. As regards MJF and the Young Bucks, the WWE do not believe there is much interest left from MJF, but they will still try. And for the Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, the WWE are interested. There are rumours that Kenny Omega is. From what I can tell, the Young Bucks are a lot less interested. So, let's see what I've missed in that, because that was a lot to cover. Okay, so Spider-Boss says, who's your favourite member of Judgment Day? Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley, mate. Rhea Ripley. Hector says, Tom, did you catch Gunther on the After the Bell podcast with Corey Graves? Such a good interview. Gunther is a professional in and out of the ring. The man is a star. I've not caught it, but I've interviewed him twice myself. Oh, I know. Michael says, Ronda ruined Alexa's career. Yes, I said it. I would say instead that that's a Vince McMahon thing, but certainly the injuries did not help. Spider-Bass says, just as personal opinion, if WWE couldn't retain Boss and Glow, I don't think WWE can retain Alexa Bliss. I certainly think it's possible on the basis that they are very different people. Ghost Welcome says, hi Tom and chat, hope everyone's doing well. I guess the bidding war of 2024 could be a reality under disastrous circumstances all over the place. There is carnage coming, and I cannot wait for it. Sean says, I do believe Alexa said one person she wants to work with is Rhea Ripley. There are plenty of people she wants to work with currently under contract. Moxie says, yo Tom, welcome Moxie. And Bailey says, thanks for the details on the contracts. That would make a good edit for shorts. I do believe it will, and it's something I can certainly put together. I've had another idea for shorts, so I could do that and certainly do this person, this contract, this person, this contract, and do 2 shorts a day. That's what I'm considering at the moment. I think that's probably the best play I can do with this one, and honestly, I'm excited to do it. Very excited to do it. Right, on the other side. Okay, so Aled says, are the WWE testing Cody and the Good Brothers at live events because they want him to replace AJ Styles in the group? Yes and no. It's mostly for a cheap pop. Venom says, I thought that was because AJ Styles is injured. Please don't tell me, pardon me, AJ Styles is going. AJ Styles is injured at the moment, yes. Joey says this could be WWE's way of cutting costs by not renewing the contracts for the talent they're not using. Yes, so they're also likely to offer lower contracts to talent that they want to keep, but do not necessarily want to use too much. Shogun says LA Knight losing against Kofi was a bad idea. They should make him win. What's your thought? I think it was a bad idea. After all, Kofi Kingston has been picking up a lot of losses recently. Okay, and we have backwards reminding everyone to hit the like button. We have 38 likes at the moment and 87 viewers. Every thumbs up makes a massive difference, and you literally will see a boost of viewership every time it happens. So if you're able to, please remember to hit that thumbs up. Christoph says, anything on the Brock versus Omos thing? I hope it's a swerve, but to be honest, I'm afraid it might well be the plan. There are certainly rumours that it is a plan. I hope it's a swerve myself. Vegeta says maybe Brock wants to face Omos. Brock typically wants to face smaller wrestlers. He doesn't really enjoy working with giants. Simon says, do you think Liv versus Rhea on SmackDown Friday goes to a double DQ? Okay, once again, Simon, you're asking about Liv. I know you don't want speculation, so I'm not going to give it to you. Ryan says, hey Tom, with the presumed downfall of Roman post-Mania, what are the plans for Paul Heyman? Will he continue to be connected to Roman or join someone else? At this point in time, the planned downfall of Roman Reigns is not immediate. It will be a slow burn. WrestleMania will be one of the earlier blows rather than one of the final ones. Paul Heyman will continue to work with him. Yes, Simon, I've seen bits of the Bayley interview so far. The only thing I've really heard so far is about Sasha Banks, and that's one reason why I'm actually kind of glad that Sasha Banks has moved to somewhere else. One, she's doing great work in Japan, but two, Bayley has been defined by Sasha Banks basically her entire time in the WWE until Damage Control. And even now, the only part of that interview people are talking about is a bit about Sasha Banks. So I'm glad they can finally get some distance. Venom says, please don't tell me Saudi gets the WWE. Do you think they will get it, Tom? I've already released a video on YouTube in the members section stating who I think are the most likely to get it. Kieran says, Xavier's massive just for the gaming side and presenting events. You're absolutely right. Absolutely priceless for the WWE, in my eyes at least. Vegeta says, Wade isn't a priority regardless, and that is true. Vegeta says Samoa definitely should come back, and I find it very likely he will. Eddie Gomez says update on FDR. At the moment, there are conversations ongoing. The WWE cannot make any formal contract offer at the moment. Keyword there is formal. Any formal contract offer. Sean says, I don't know if you've answered this or not, but is Omos versus Lesnar happening at Mania or is it a swerve? You've got me on that one. I could not tell you. Venom says, do you think Samoa Joe will go back? Yes, personally I do. Justin says, Alexa Bliss re-signing would be great. Surely she can't be in this Bray gimmick for years to come. Lord knows why it's ran its course. Couldn't tell you. Alexa Bliss wants to be part of the Bray Wyatt storyline. That's the thing that people are starting to forget. Buck's Basement, welcome, says, hi Tom. How many titles do you predict change hands at Mania? The women's tag titles, the SmackDown Women's Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, and the World Championships, and the Tag Team Championships. So everything apart from the US and Intercontinental Championship. Eric says, who do you think will win the Queen and King of the Ring tournament? I say Liv Morgan and a debuting Jay White. I, in this instance, would definitely go with Finn Balor for King of the Ring. I just feel that would be a perfect launch pad to take on Cody at SummerSlam. And as regards the women, I think it'll be someone a little further down the card. I think I'm more likely to see it be someone like Raquel. Dominic says, Tom, you remind me of Lord Alfred Hayes. Well, I don't know why that is. Joey says, I think Elias's contract is coming up next year too. I remember seeing his name on the list. I don't think he would be brought back. I think he will be offered a new deal. I just don't necessarily think he would take it. Backwards says, maybe that's why Tony Khan is pushing Samoa Joe so hard. Maybe to try and keep him. Maybe. Don't see it happening. Moxie is excited by the idea of Montez Ford for another 10 years. Callie says, hope Joe makes a comeback and kicks Roman's backside. There's blood there that needs to be settled. Venom says, do you think Sasha could come back to WWE this year? No. Christoph says, not a big fan of the Bucks anyway, so I don't mind if they are not interested in WWE. However, MJF, Kenny and FDR, that would be great. Buck says Tom and he hopes that if Asuka becomes champion at Mania, they can pursue a program for Io Sky and Meiko Satomura. Yes, hopes. Spider-Boss says WWE brought back Lita for a cheap pop, right? Cheap pop and someone to actually work matches. She's a draw, mate. She's a draw. She attracts a crowd that they don't really have anyone to attract right now because The Rock's not there and neither is Randy Orton. JJ says, hey Tom, I know it's not happening, just want to ask anyway, can Becky and Lita possibly win tonight? It depends on the extent of the injury to Dakota Kai. Hey Thomas, how you doing, mate? Rosal says, what does WWE think of The Rock's daughter Ava Raine? Are they pushing back her in-ring debut? They are still using her, however they don't believe she's quite ready yet for the mainstream, as it were. Michael says, would the WWE clear Samoa Joe? Under Triple H? Yes, they would. Under Vince McMahon, I still have questions. Venom says, what do you think happens with Roman after Mania? I think Jey Uso happens with Roman Reigns after WrestleMania. Kieran says, some of Brock's best matches are against technical wrestlers like AJ, Bryan, Punk and Seth, so Omos and Lesnar would be horrible. I can't guarantee that, but Brock's best work typically is with a smaller opposition. Vegeta says Becky and Lita should win tonight and lose to Ronda and Shayna. What does Bayley do then? Bayley versus Becky is what we've been building towards. Keyshawn says, would you see WWE possibly putting Roman versus Rock in for SummerSlam? No, on the basis that they have not put Roman versus Rock in at any point in the last 5 years. Nelson says, any news on Jay White? Not at this point, no. Books says, it seems people are convinced that Roman is going to win at Mania from many YouTube wrestling channels because they still want Sami to get the title. I think it's ridiculous they turned on Cody. All of those will likely have egg on their face come the day. Joey says, Omos versus Brock reeks of Vince. I refuse to believe Triple H would book that. Alyssa says, love to see Paul Heyman paired with Ronda Rousey. Venom says, when this year ends, Joe's contract is up. Is it close or more later in the year? Very end. Mr. Stumble says, hi Tom, just wanted to say hi and thanks for your journalism. Do you think one day all journalists will be like JDN from NY due to the need for clicks? I don't feel all of them will because I won't. At the very least, I can promise you all, I won't. However, right now, unfortunately, journalism is profitable. Sensationalism is profitable. So that's what makes money, and that's the problem. Jay Quick says, when will the first Hall of Fame start making the announcements? Still a question I have no answer to, unfortunately, Jay Quick. Spiderball says, I'd love to see Jade Cargill in WWE at some point. You likely will. Horsey says, smash the like button for the legend that is Tom, and if you haven't, please subscribe. You won't be disappointed. Tom deserves it. Thank you very much, Horsey. I appreciate that. If you have not yet clicked subscribe, please do consider it. We do spoiler warning live shows every Monday and every Friday. We are still looking at the Q&As on Wednesdays, but it will not be this Wednesday. Not this Wednesday coming. We will start the Q&A streams on Wednesday the 8th of March. Wednesday the 8th of March at spoiler warning time, we will start the Q&A streams, and I'm planning to have them last until WrestleMania. Okay? Until WrestleMania. Likely the last one will be the week after WrestleMania. Also, we have 97 viewers and 47 likes. If we get 3 more likes, I guarantee you we're going to get those 3 more viewers. Alex says, is a plan for Cody to relinquish one of the titles in the draft after Mania? That's what I personally believe, yes. Keyshawn says, do you think we can have women tag title triple threat match at Mania? Shayna, Ronda, Becky, Lita, Damage Control. I mean, we could, but then what would Bayley do? Also, I think we're going to get a triple threat anyway, but with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Simon says, Zack Sabre Jr., the New Japan TV champion, was involved in the brand new Ring of Honor TV tapings at the weekend. Justin says, JD from NY is the worst guy in the wrestling community by far. Keyshawn says, who's booking the horrendous Paige and Tony Storm storylines? Tony Khan. You knew the answer to that. You knew the answer to that. It's Tony Khan. Simon says, your thoughts on the brand new Ring of Honor after this weekend's TV tapings? I don't know anything about it. Alex says, are you excited to see John Cena next week? You don't see him. He's more of a feeling. Bailey says, speaking of rosters, here's one of the wildcards for NXT talent. A new owner may or may not want that deep a roster. A new owner may or may not want a televised NXT. Ghost says, while it's definitely unlikely to know anything currently given the circumstances, do you see AEW asking Jeff Hardy to finish out his AEW contract before the end of the year, or is it truly his decision with no additional pressure added? It is largely his decision. It's not entirely his decision. He will be... How to describe it? He will be examined before they allow him to return to the ring. Venom says, do you think Becky and Lita win the titles tonight? Nope. Jay Quick says, any update when AJ Styles will be back? After WrestleMania seems most likely now. Sean says, would WWE have cleared Kyrie and Saraya under Triple H? No. Moxie is eating skips. Well done, Moxie. Sean says Sami is getting his rematch against Roman at a live event on March 6th, but he will not be winning. Spider-Boss says, just saying, Damage Control should win tonight. Damage Control took the L in big matches. I agree. Venom is excited for the Great Khali versus Omos, and I don't know why. Dominic says, is the King of the Ring going to be a regular pay-per-view? It seems so at this point, yes. Richard Smith says, I can't wait to see Cody versus Sami. Really hope Triple H gives us that feud, and a long one at that. I don't necessarily see it. After WrestleMania, Sami Zayn will be in the tag division. Simon says, SmackDown is in Washington, D.C. on Friday. Expects Big Dave Batista announced on Friday. Oh, for Hall of Fame. Okay. Bucks says, hey Tom, I don't know if you watch AEW, sometimes, but what's your predictions for Revolution? Do you predict any upsets? A few upsets, yes, but I definitely don't see MJF losing. Mox is excited for Q&A streams. Horsey says, I know it's hard with work, but any chance for watch along for Raw after Mania for obvious reasons. I understand if you can't. I have actually already committed to the Raw after WrestleMania watch party. What we will be doing is Friday, we will have... Ed, can you delete any spoilers, please? Can you delete any spoilers? What we will be doing is on Friday, we will be doing a SmackDown watch party. We'll then have a watch party for night 1 of WrestleMania, a watch party for night 2 of WrestleMania, and of course a watch party for Raw, which will mean 4 nights in a row of watch party. Given how long WrestleMania is, the fact that it'll be 5 or 6 hours easily, either way, I'm looking at about 18 hours of watch party over 4 nights. Full-time job. Simon says, any news on the Liv and Raquel tag team? Once again, Simon, you are asking for definitives. I can not provide them. Christoph says, 2 new matches just announced for tonight. Cody versus Gable, Street Profits versus Jimmy and Solo. I like that. Cody needed to get in the ring. They're finally starting to address that. Eric says, imagine if both Ray and Dom both win Queen and King of the Ring. I would love that. That would be amazing. Venom says, will Carly or Big Show return? Spider-Boss says, if WWE split the world titles in the draft, who do you see winning the Universal title? Seth would be an easy shout. Drew McIntyre is a more likely one. Backwards says, has Roman Reigns versus The Rock actually ever been booked before in the past during Roman's career, but something came up and it didn't happen? No, the match has never been booked. Never. It's never even been close. Venom says, so NXT could be going. A new owner would be able to change absolutely anything, okay? A new owner could change absolutely anything. We can't ignore that. That Newcomb guy, welcome Bear, how you doing, mate? Has raided with a party of 6. Thank you kindly for joining on the Twitch side. AJ Cub 92 has already hit follow. Very much appreciate you jumping in. We are talking wrestling at the moment. We are talking contract situations for a number of wrestlers. We will be going through the latest rumours, as well as talk of Vince McMahon, a creative, Kenny Omega, and so on and so forth, as well as Logan Paul. Joey says, WrestleVotes reported that Gunther is expected to get pushed to world title contention. That is not what they reported. They did not report that at all. They reported that they could see it happening. They didn't say it was likely to happen. They didn't say they expected it to happen. They said they could see it happening. Backwards says, I feel Roman versus Rock won't happen ever. That's entirely up to your opinion. Ryan says, the IWC frequently stress their desire for the WWE to change/update their belts, yet it never happens. What would it take for WWE to do it? Being able to sell more replica merch is not enough. That would be the primary motivation for it, yes. However, I believe the intention is for the current World Championships to become synonymous with Roman Reigns. And as they become synonymous, then they will start to look to move on. Mr. Stumble says, any updates on CM Punk? Nope. At the moment, he is still contracted to AEW. Tony Khan is still trying to convince him to come back. CM Punk is still trying to leave the company and get himself a nice big payout. Ray says, do you think Charlotte will lose a SmackDown title at Mania? Yes, I do. Venom says, is Batista going to be on this week's SmackDown? No. Christoph says, fantasy booking for WrestleMania, Damage Control versus Ronda and Shayna versus Liv and Raquel versus Trish and Lita. How does that sound? I would be behind that wholeheartedly. And Alex says, when do you expect Roman and Cody to go face to face? Because they need it badly. The Go Home Show. Moxie says, wow, Raid. I'm going to need some help with some of these names. Koinu no Kokishin says Newcomb Raid. That Newcomb guy says ahoy, ahoy to yourself. Jay Quick says, will Pat McAfee come back, or was a Royal Rumble a one-time appearance? He has a contract, he will be returning when available. Moxie says Randy versus Gunther would be a great match, and it will be. Joey says, I think Gunther is an early favourite to win the King of the Ring. Certainly when you've got accounts like WrestleVote saying he's going to get main event push, I reckon he will start to be rumoured so. Horsey says maybe Big Show could do Hall of Fame and nothing announced as negotiating with AEW, just an idea. Ricky Fawn says, hi Tom, how are you? Doing very well, Ricky, welcome to the show. Alyssa says, do you see them giving us Roman Reigns versus Gunther? Yes, absolutely. Horsey believes Gunther main events Mania 40. That is not currently the plan. Not currently the plan. They are still working out what that match is going to be, but they already have some ideas, and it's not what you might think. Sean says, do you believe Charlotte and Rhea main event night 1? That or the tag team match? Moxie says, please WWE bring Samoa Joe back and put him against Oh. Sorry, I got excited there. Oh. That would be a match. Samoa Joe versus Gunther. Ooh. Shogun says, did they change the Wyatt versus Howdy match at Mania? There never was a Wyatt versus Howdy match at Mania. That's what I was expecting, because I expected Bray Wyatt to be on the card. And yeah, it was never actually planned, just to be clear. Christoph says, hi Tom, good to see you. 2 questions regarding Ciampa. Do you know anything about his return schedule? Nope, at the moment they are still waiting for a storyline and a pivot because they're not sure The Miz is the right call for him. Also, do you know how he's liked and respected by his peers? Triple H loves him and I do too. And so do most people in the back. He's very well respected. JJ says, do you know when Becky's contract is up? I would have thought she re-signed before she came back after her pregnancy. I did state at the time that that is indeed the case. Venom says, will Adam Pearce just come out on Raw after Mania and say you need to give me one of those belts? No. There'll be a formal announcement. Spider-Boss says, I thought Cora Jade would do great as a heel in NXT after she betrayed Roxanne, but after matches with Roxanne, Cora Jade hasn't done anything in NXT. She is the latest in a line of people who've done that. I'm looking at Candice LeRae. Spider-Boss says, I'm still wondering why Tony Khan hasn't broken up Jericho's stable JAS, because Jericho has told him not to. Thomas says, please tell me it's JY versus Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles at Mania 40. If you listened to the report earlier, AJ Styles may not be involved in that. Moxie says, Randy versus Cody main event WrestleMania maybe. Bailey says, are there any contract issues with the bottom tier of the women's division? Aaliyah, Emma, Shotzi, Tegan and Lacey Evans. Not at this point in time. Most of them have many years left on their deals. Some of them have just signed new ones. Simon says, do you see Becky versus Bailey being a last woman standing match? Nope, I see it being a straight wrestling match. I don't really understand why everybody wants this to have a stipulation. The whole point is that they've had stipulations. They've never just got into a ring and wrestled. Backwards wants Jay White versus Gunther. Moxie suggesting Jay White versus a number of people because he's trying to tease me now and it's not going to work. Joey says, do you think WWE is letting Bray have too much creative freedom? Seems like he doesn't know where he wants to go with this story. Certainly it's possible. I believe I'm the only person who's actually reported that he does have a level of creative freedom. First to report that he was coming back and certainly that he'd signed a new deal. But yeah, at the moment, he's being well shepherded, but he does have a lot of creative freedom. Simon says, who do you see being the IC champion walking out of Mania? Still Gunther. Very much still Gunther. Venom says, is the draft before the first pay-per-view after Mania? At the moment, the draft has not been confirmed at all. Simon says, Liv's segment got cut and moved to a SmackDown exclusive segment on Saturday. Did it, or was that always the plan? Kevin says, Seth versus Gunther at Mania 40 would be a banger. Alex says, Demon Balor at Mania, yes or no? Finn Balor himself does not want to use the Demon King as much as Triple H wants to use it, so he'd need to be talked into that. And honestly, it's his demon, I'd listen to him. Joey says, do you think some wrestlers could get sent down to NXT during the draft? No. Michael says, for the people who returned last year, would those have been 5-year contracts? Not necessarily, different people got different deals. Venom says, I got this feeling they won't separate the titles until SummerSlam. Christoph says, who do you see winning the Universal title after the belt split? I'll go with Seth or Drew, and that is exactly what I said a moment ago. Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre. Spider-Boss likes the idea of Jay White versus Finn Balor. Thomas says, I know that will tease you, Tom, and that's Gunther versus Minoru Suzuki. Moxie says, Tom, who do you see getting number 1 draft pick? I would say Roman again. Cody. Cody will get it. Cody will likely have both championships at the time, so it would be a very big surprise if that's not exactly what happens. Christoph says he's still watching New Japan on a regular basis. Where do you think the promotion stands right now creatively and in-ring wise? Who's your favourite there these days with Jay gone? There's a number of people I'm a big fan of. Toru Yano technically has always been my favourite, but Jay White's like my favourite wrestler, so hard to discuss on that one. But yeah, I still watch it fairly regularly. I think it's still very creative. The in-ring product's still fantastic. Ricky Fawn says, when do you see Randy coming back? I've already released a video on that one. You should check it out. Mike Rogers, welcome, says, when the titles are split, would they still call you about the Universal title? Yes. Yes, they would. Smartaboss says, do you think Roman wins the world title back before the end of 2023? No. Salmon says, who do you see being the one to dethrone MJF? Adam Cole. Baby. Mr. Stumble says, is WWE getting quid pro quo for letting New Japan use Nakamura? Yes. Also, New Japan did not use Nakamura. You might want to double check that one. Juana Roscoe says, the only woman I see jumping to AEW is Shotzi. Other than that, I can't think of anybody. Simon says, do you see a future MJF versus that? Okay. You can't ask me, do you see a future feud for this person, between this person? Yeah, the world is a very, very long lasting place. Lots of things could potentially happen. Right, so I have put together, as I know you guys like these, a list of wrestling news stories that have hit the headlines recently. Most of these I have a comment to share and a comment to respond to, or at the very least, it is something worth mentioning and discussing. My job here is to make you as well informed as possible, so I've got quite a few different sources to discuss. Some of this I can say with absolute certainty is incorrect, and I will let you know that immediately. So, the first one I want to discuss is Worked Wrestling. Now, Worked Wrestling will come up 3 times here. I'm not really aware of much about them. I just want to talk about them because I think it's very worth having the discussion so that we can work out whether or not we should be trusting Worked Wrestling. As I'm about to jump into this, we have 109 viewers and only 57 likes. If you can, please remember to hit thumbs up on the YouTube side and subscribe if you haven't already at youtube.com/Tom Colohue. I know you're watching it, but in reality, since we've gone live, we've actually lost a subscriber. Don't know how it happened. I'm not too upset because ultimately we're still having a good time. Worked Wrestling tweeted that Trish is still on the way and said she'll be working a storyline she's wanted to for quite some time. This is not really something I would consider a report. After all, the entire report is that thing you think is going to happen. Yeah, it will. WrestlingNews.co claims Batista will headline this year's WWE Hall of Fame class. Literally everyone is assuming that to be the case. So that is, again, not one I can really put my stock by. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said WWE is indeed going ahead with Bray Wyatt versus Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar versus Omos at WrestleMania 39. I don't want that. Bray Wyatt versus Bobby I could see, but there are big plans for Bobby Lashley, which should not involve losing to Bray Wyatt. The alternative is that Bray Wyatt loses. So what's the point? What's the point? Brock Lesnar versus Omos, I'm just not excited for it. He also said plans still call for Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler to win the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania, so we'll have to see what that means for Damage Control. To be blunt, you may have heard about that one already. After all, I reported that one a couple of months ago. Though he specified that he couldn't confirm it at all, Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp tweeted that a WWE talent told him they thought Vince McMahon was back working in WWE Creative. If you cannot confirm it at all, why are you posting it and making people pay for it? Wade Keller of PWTorch tweeted, I was told flat out today that Vince McMahon is not back involved in WWE Creative. Now, I've already discussed this at some length. Vince McMahon was heavily involved in the writing of the storylines for Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn. Since then, he's made a number of suggestions, most of which Triple H has ignored, some of which Triple H has listened to. Vince McMahon is not holding creative meetings, he's not writing scripts, he is making suggestions. Still not much in way of details, but while Fightful Select was following up on what happened with Trish Stratus' planned appearance on Monday Night Raw, sources said that a program involving Stratus, Becky Lynch and possibly other high-level stars was in the works as of last week. Now, could this be Lita and Bayley, who were already involved? Again, not huge. Worked Wrestling, second report from Worked, claims that the idea of Shawn Michaels forcing Grayson Waller to face off against a debuting Dragon Lee has been discussed for NXT. Again, not a huge report, and one that we were all kind of expecting. Regarding WWE's current direction of Brock Lesnar versus Omos, this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter notes that plans for Brock changed in the last week or two. They would have had to, because until then it was Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley again. However, the original plan was not a match against Gunther. I've already explained that one myself. Worked Wrestling, that's number 3, claimed Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos is currently slated to main event the first night of WrestleMania. Once again, that's something everyone expects to happen anyway. Meltzer writes that Mercedes Muniz IWGP Women's Championship win was planned from the moment she signed with New Japan because the title becomes more important when she's the one holding it. Once again, regulars of Spoiler Warning are already fully aware that that was the plan. According to PWInsider, WWE's King and Queen of the Ring event in May will take place in Saudi Arabia. You want them to crown queens again? Didn't work out brilliant last time. Per Wrestling Observer, Saudi Arabia absolutely has interest in buying WWE, and Vince McMahon's asking price of $9 billion makes them a leading contender. That's because unlike all the media companies involved in the bidding, Saudi doesn't care about making a profit on the deal. Their motivation is to use the WWE brand as part of their ongoing campaign to normalise the world views of their country and take attention away from all of their human rights violations. This is absolutely true. I've already discussed this one at length. So I appreciate Dave Meltzer confirming it. But yeah, I don't want Saudi Arabia or any representative thereof buying the WWE. Original plans for WrestleMania 39 before The Rock vs Roman Reigns was taken off the table, the match was never on the table, called for Cody Rhodes or Drew McIntyre to wrestle Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship according to Fightful Select. This is not according to Fightful Select. This was reported by WrestlingNews.co first. Like considerably before this happened. Once it became clear The Rock wouldn't make the show, those plans changed. To my knowledge, the plans were not changed. Since June, Cody Rhodes has been the one and only choice to face Roman Reigns. There had been contact with Steve Austin for 2 separate matches. However, Cody Rhodes is now the one and only, as has been planned since June. WrestlingNews.co is claiming some wrestlers in WWE aren't happy about legends and celebrities taking up slots on the WrestleMania 39 card, meaning they will be left off the show. Now, I'm going to be real clear here. This is a nothing story. A number of people in the WWE who won't make the Mania card are indeed not particularly happy about it, but that's a good thing. They knew it was coming. They weren't expecting to make the card. The idea that legends and celebrities are taking slots is utterly ridiculous when you consider that every single year legends and celebrities have taken slots at WrestleMania. Mr. T, WrestleMania 1. Celebrities and legends have always been a huge part of WrestleMania. To my knowledge, there is no big mutiny, there is no big problem. A couple of people aren't particularly happy, they're a bit disappointed, and that's the worst it gets. Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter said he expects Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks will get big money offers from both WWE and AEW when they become free agents. They will indeed. The Bucks will likely decide based on their families, Omega on if main roster WWE is a career goal of his or not. So essentially what Dave Meltzer is saying is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks will go where they want to. Per the Wrestling Observer, Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio will happen at WrestleMania 39 and it's been planned for months to hold off on their first singles match against each other for this show. Once again, I thank Dave Meltzer for confirming a report that I made months ago. And that's the news that we've got there. I do want to quickly highlight the 3 reports that came from Worked Wrestling there. Worked Wrestling tweeted that Trish is still on the way and she'll be working a storyline she's wanted to for a while. Worked Wrestling claims that the idea of Shawn Michaels forcing Grayson Waller to face off against a debuting Dragon Lee has been discussed in NXT. And Worked Wrestling claims Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos is currently slated to main event the first night of WrestleMania. Remember, we're going to vet them right now and see if they're right or not. Remember those 3 things. And we will find out whether or not they are accurate. Sean says, who do you think dethrones Jamie Hayter? I'd hope Jade Cargill. Michael says, if Saudi buys WWE, does Raw SmackDown stay on USA or Fox? I have my doubts. Very unlikely. The Saudi takeover would mean that they would have to work it out themselves. And honestly, I don't see it going away that anyone's particularly comfortable with. Joey says, do you think Aaliyah could be let go since she hasn't been used in a long time? Not at this point in time. They would more likely run the contract down. Venom says, if Cody gets drafted to Raw or SmackDown, I don't see how they will get one of the titles off Cody. Cody will be remaining on Raw. Luva says, what's up, Tom? What it do, baby? Interesting. Sam says, you're watching AEW Revolution on Sunday? Nope. Vegeta says, Jay to win the Universal title? I think that's a possibility. Steve says, late to the party, but hope you're well, Tom. Hope you had a good show, Steve. Welcome to the show. Venom says, can we make Wednesday spoiler warnings a regular thing? I want more Tom. It will not be spoiler warning. It will not be spoiler warning. If I'm doing Wednesday shows, it'll be Q&A sessions. Because the problem at the moment with spoiler warning is the amount of questions that I'm getting, which I need and I'm really appreciative of, means that I don't get to the news for about an hour. So let's do a third show. Let's get a load of questions out of the way there. And then come Friday, come Monday, I'll be able to actually share more news. Steve Englund says, Dave Meltzer said a lot of things before, doesn't mean he's right. True, and we openly state when he isn't. Leuven says, Brock Lesnar versus Omos sounds like straight Vince McMahon. Doesn't sound like a straight Vince McMahon, I'll tell you that. Simon says, when does Trish finally appear? Good question. Vegeta says, Dave is usually wrong. Leuven says, I feel like Vince definitely pitched that idea to Triple H on his personal phone. Doesn't mean he's working there. Joseph Bridgewood, welcome. Says, do you think John Cena and Austin Theory will get confirmed in the next couple of weeks before WrestleMania? What do you think Cena will do on the Raw next week? I think Cena on Raw next week will open the show, talk about how great it is to be on Monday Night Raw. Then Austin Theory will interrupt him and will book a match for WrestleMania. Nothing fancy. Joey says, Zero News should be on this list too. Kept reporting that Brock vs. Gunther was going to happen at Mania, even when other journalists said it was never planned. Yep. Like I said, we have to remember these things. Eventually, maybe, we should just create like a spreadsheet or a database or something. And you guys can input information. So you can type up, this person reporting this, here's a link to it. And then we just make a database, which can then extrapolate the percentage accuracy for each individual journalist. I think that'd be a hell of a resource and something we could really make very easily. Venom says, would love it if Triple H was like, I'm going to buy WWE from Vince. I'd love it if he could afford it, but he can't. Alyssa says, I have a feeling Lita, Becky Lynch, their reign is lackluster. Their reign can't be lackluster, they are not currently the champions. Simon says, a little bit off topic, your thoughts on Amazon's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Still haven't watched it. Still have not watched it. The excitement isn't there, unfortunately. And as a big Lord of the Rings fan, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. Noob says, hello Tom, sorry that I missed out on everything. Can you give me a recap of the news? Not at this point, no. The news is really in-depth this week. I do advise you to rewind and just check it out. Jay Brown says, wow, 9 billion. It's a big number, isn't it? It is a really big and quite surprising number. And Vince McMahon will probably get it. He will probably get it. Joseph says, I think John Cena comes back next week. He's building up for Austin Theory. Yes, he does. Ray says, do you think WWE will sign Kenny Omega? If Kenny Omega wants to be signed by the WWE, then yes, I see that happening. Joseph says, Tom, do you think John Cena will make the card? Yes. Richard says, are there Finn Balor plans for Mania? Yes. Leuven says, in Saudi Arabia, government and religion are one. So I would only think that if they buy WWE, the product would be affected and probably reflect their religious values. For example, women showing less skin. Yes, you're absolutely right. It would. Justin says, Becky and Lita versus Ronda and Shayna. Bayley and Trish in another match. I don't see it. I don't see it. Joseph says, Tom, what about John Cena? You've asked me that question several times here, Joseph. Several times. Mr. Stumble says, is there a list of wrestling journalism websites that should be avoided due to inaccuracies? We don't have a list ourselves, but maybe we should start looking into them. I do think the right idea is that database idea, where we'd link to it in Discord and we could populate it. And everything would have to be confirmed by certain trusted individuals, but you could submit things yourself and say, here is evidence of this person reporting this thing. And then, as it's proven right or wrong, we just go back through it and say, okay, yeah, that was right, that was right, that was right, that was wrong, etc., etc. And we finally work out who's who. That would be good for me. That'd be good for me. Simon says, who do you see personally buying the WWE? You don't want speculation, you want an answer, so I'm not giving you one. Ken says, will Trish have a title run? No. Joey says, do you know if NXT will get a new TV deal when their contract is up with the bad viewership they've been doing? They are up for discussion. They are up for discussion, and there will be further discussions about this. I expect they will be on the table. Joey says you should make a Google Doc with all the reports so we can keep track of it. My reports, or just like everyone's reports? It might be worth it. I think that's a good idea. Venom says, doesn't Shane have shares in WWE? I don't know. He may have sold them off, much like Triple H and Stephanie did. Steve says, any updates on Jay White and Kota Ibushi? They are receiving a lot of attention right now from the big names. The big two particularly. Razar says, when was the last time you were shocked watching WWE? Man was Dakota Kai returning at SummerSlam. Well, for me, the biggest shock right now is Omos might be facing Brock Lesnar, so recently. Leuven says, Cody versus Gable confirmed? If so, because that's going to be amazing. Yes, it is confirmed. Alan says, where can I find the Discord? Good question. Let me post a link for you. I'll just post a link to our Discord. For those who don't already have it, all you got to do is jump in the chat and find us. So there is a link on YouTube. And here is a link on Twitch for anyone who isn't already with us. Blair, I liked what you said there. It's a shame you've retracted it. Oh, thank you, Ed. That's a different link, so who knows what's going to happen there. Who knows? Keem says, imagine if Cody has a sit-down with The Rock. I don't see that one happening, but it would be quite fun. Christoph says, Meltzer also reported today that Brock could have rejected the match of Omos, and it may not happen after reporting all week it was a plan. He seems to do that very often now. So what you're saying is, Dave Meltzer is rumour killing a rumour that he started. He does that a lot. Simon says, would a lot of women possibly leave the WWE if the Saudi government takes over the WWE? Assumption on top of assumption. Once again, anyone who buys a WWE has the right to say what the WWE will be doing going forwards. Venom says, if Shane and Triple H wanted to buy the WWE together, could they do it? No. Joseph Bridgewood said, Tom, have you been to Raw before? Because I'm going to Raw. I would like to know what it's like. Yeah, I've been to Raw. You get to meet people if you want to. If you pay extra. Venom said, is Stephanie done with WWE? Yep. And Steve says, have you heard of any plans for Liv Morgan for WrestleMania this year? Yes, I've heard that she'll be in a tag team with Raquel Rodriguez, working against Damage Control and Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Bailey says, I think Vince offers shares of WWE to multiple owners at a higher overall cost. Comcast, Endeavour and the Saudis. That'll make it very difficult to work together. Spider-Boss says, personally I don't buy anything that comes from Sean Ross Sapp. Michael says, I like the idea of a Q&A on Wednesdays. Definitely, I think we'll be going ahead with that. It just won't be this Wednesday. Spider-Boss says, when it comes to Mercedes money news, Meltzer isn't trustworthy, to be honest. When we could see another lawsuit against Vince, depends whether or not someone wants to file one. What news do we have left to cover? So I've discussed Seth and Drew, never really been planned. Okay, Logan Paul and Jake Paul. So the idea that the people are upset about celebrities taking spots simply isn't true. A lot of people in the WWE are very impressed by Logan Paul, particularly the efforts that he is making to promote the company, in the same way that they were really behind Bad Bunny, for example. Less of interest to them is Jake Paul, who has insulted the art of wrestling and ruffled feathers backstage. Jake Paul is rumoured to be in attendance at WrestleMania in Logan Paul's corner. So that'll be fun. Also, the WrestlingNews.co report stated that Triple H likes a smaller WrestleMania and smaller pay-per-views. I reported that during SummerSlam, the first pay-per-view under Triple H, and have mentioned it once again every single show since. Joe says, I can't wait until Cena comes back. He's been my hero. He's my favourite. He'll be back soon. Joey says, any news on the draft and call-ups? Plenty, none of which I could really comfortably share. KJ says, it's ringside news, so you never know, but they debunked the rumours of guys being upset about being left off the card. Also added that the card isn't even finalised. The card is as close to finalised as it's ever been at this point in time, but what I will say is that KJ, I've also just debunked that rumour myself. We have been live for an hour. This has been a Monday spoiler warning. The next time you will see me will be on Friday. On Friday, we'll be doing spoiler warning and our usual SmackDown show. After that, next week, we will do an additional Wednesday Q&A, and I hope to see as many of you there as possible. Before we head out, please remember to hit like if you haven't already. It really does make a big difference. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now would be the time. Stick around. I'm going to see if there is anyone that we can send viewers to. Anyone who could potentially benefit from it. I see an upcoming stream. an AEW Revolution 2023 match card and predictions from SCW, the wrestling channel. It's in my list. It's the only one on the list. So let's throw that forwards. Stick around and we'll send you over there. In the meantime, then, all I will say, as per usual, is that I've been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic. Keep your eye out for a very new system that I'm going to be doing every single day with shorts starting tomorrow morning. Until then, thank you very much, and I'll see you all very soon.